Alright, this activity gets you to convert between fractions, percentages, and decimals. In Mathletics, it starts out by giving you 2 and then you have to fill in 1. And then as it gets harder, you're given 1 and you fill in the other 2. So at first you can kind of have a choice. So 3/5 is equal to 6/10, and we have to figure out how to write that as a percentage. There's a few different ways to think of it. So 6, I'm going to start with the decimal. That seems easier to me than starting from 3/5. But you could start here if you wanted. So 6/10, this is where naming your decimals comes in really handy, because remember, percentage means out of 100. So there's kind of an imaginary 0 there in the hundredths column. So that technically is 60 hundredths. Another way of looking at it is 6/10 would be like that as a fraction, and then in order to make it out of 100, you'd multiply top and bottom by 10. So in both cases, the percentage is 60%. You could have also said 5 times 20 is 100, because you need 100 as your denominator. 3 times 20 is 60. So 60 out of 100 is 60%. Alright. This question is asking for the fraction, and remember, you're going to have to put the fraction in simplest terms. So 30% I know is 30 out of 100. But these are both divisible by 10. So I divide top and bottom by 10, and then I get 3/10. And now the fraction is in simplest terms. Okay, next example. We're given only the decimal, and we need to write it as a fraction and a percentage. I'm going to start with the fraction. So the way I say this is 4/10, because I've got a 4 in the tenths column. Remember, there's no such thing as oneths. So 4/10, I'm going to write that as a fraction, 4/10. And I'm also going to use this fraction to write my percentage. So I know that 4/10 is equal to 40 hundredths, which is 40%. You could have used the decimal to go to 40% too. You can also, if you're given a fraction as a decimal, you can move the decimal over 2 decimal places, because that's multiplying by 100. So there's lots of different strategies, and you just choose what makes sense to you. Now back to the fraction. I have to put this in simplest terms. 40 out of 100 is even less simplified than 4/10. I need to reduce this, and 4 and 10 are both even, so I can divide both by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And now it's in simplest form. So 2/5 equals 40% equals 4/10. Okay, now we've got 1/4, and we need to write it as a percentage and a decimal. Percentage. Well, we make our denominator 100. So 4 times 25 is 100, because if you have 4 quarters, you have $1. I have to do 1 times 25. 25 out of 100 equals 25%. And 25, again, another way of saying this is 25 hundredths. The way you write 25 hundredths as a decimal is tenths hundredths. The last digit is in the hundredths column. So this is 25 hundredths. So you have lots of strategies to use, and just play around with these until you find a strategy that works for each question.